Breaking news tonight as President Joe Biden announced that the U.S. expects enough COVID vaccines for all adult Americans by the end of May. That's 2 months earlier than anticipated. And on top of that, the president is now directing states to prioritize vaccinating all teachers, saying the federal government will supply shots through their pharmacy program. That news comes as the Massachusetts Teachers Association is hosting an emergency meeting right now. Good Tuesday evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Western Mass News at 6. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Jordyn Jagolinzer. The group talking about their frustrations with the Baker administration's plan to bring students back for in-person learning. Western Mass News reporter Sarah Grinelli joins us now live with what teachers are saying. Sarah?
Chris, Jordan, the bottom line is the president of the MTA tells me she wants to make sure all teachers are vaccinated before they have to head back to the classroom. It's been nearly 1 year since schools across the state were forced to close because of the pandemic. The Massachusetts Teachers Association calling an emergency meeting Tuesday night to discuss the governor's push to get students back to in-person learning. The president of the MTA, Mary Najimy, tells Western Mass News the state needs to vaccinate educators as soon as possible.
We have been saying from the beginning, and there is growing consensus from superintendents to inside the State House, to the CDC and 28 other states in the nation, that it's time to give educators and school employees the layer of protection through the vaccine.
This comes as the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education announced their plans to start a phased-in return to the classroom, beginning with elementary students in April.
It really depends local by local. Again, almost 80% of schools have some form of in-person learning. What's critical here is that the commissioner pay close attention to the waivers and grant the waivers to the districts who are saying they need more time.
Right now, the state is currently in phase 2 of the vaccination rollout plan, giving the vaccine to people 65 years and older and others with more serious health issues. Najimy says it's time the state moves on with the next group, which is vaccinating educators before they head back to the classroom. She tells Western Mass News the MTA has a vaccination plan in place.
The MTA with the firefighters and nurses unions have developed the last mile vaccination plan. It's an on-site vaccine program that lines up with the CDC recommendations. It has the firefighters and the nurses distributing the vaccine, the MTA organizing our members to sign up, and MassCon Medical.
So today, the president also did call on states to vaccinate teachers sooner, and it's unclear if Massachusetts, if that will have an effect here. Live in Springfield, I'm Sarah Grinelli for Western Mass News.
Sarah, thanks for that live report. Dr. Seuss's hometown of Springfield reacting tonight to the news that 6 of his books will no longer be printed. The company preserving Theodore Giesel's legacy says the books contain harmful and racist depictions.
Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo is live for us now in Springfield with more on that. Audrey?
The 6 books may be going out of print, but it's very likely that existing copies are still in libraries and on children's home bookshelves. I spoke with an education professor about the importance of discussing the images in these books that children may have already read.
6 books in the Dr. Seuss catalog are going out of print. The announcement from Dr. Seuss Enterprises explaining the books contain harmful depictions of people of color. One of the books was the center of controversy in Springfield a few years ago. An image from "And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street" was included in a mural at the Dr. Seuss Museum and then was covered up. Western Mass News reached out to both the school library and public libraries. They say they're working on plans to address the copies of the books in question that may be on their shelves currently.
Caricatures often have negative connotations, and it's important to recognize if that is the window experience that young children are getting, they are getting a very negative perception of others.
Western Mass News spoke with Stephanie Logan, the chair of the education department at Springfield College. She says parents should look at the books on their children's shelves to see what other depictions of people of color are available to them.
If that's the only book that has visual representations, that's a problem.
She says parents can find other books featuring stories written by and about people of color.
How do we expand the opportunities for your young children to see the breadth of representation.
Logan says talking to children about these 6 Dr. Seuss books, most of which were published before 1960, could also go a long way in teaching children about the history surrounding racist or stereotypical images.
It is important to put it in its time and place and to have conversations about how things have changed.
Now, the mayor of Springfield, Dominic Sarno, also reacted to this news today, saying that he respects the Dr. Seuss Enterprises' decision to pull these books from publication. Reporting live in Springfield, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.
Audrey, thanks for that live report. We're learning more about a CHICOPEE resident and retired Connecticut State Trooper who died after being punched on the Las Vegas Strip over the weekend. The case is now being ruled as a homicide.
Thomas Driscoll's ex-girlfriend and friend says he was in Vegas to trail hike. Western Mass News reporter Courtney Zeller has more.
Annie Chong and her 2 sons are grieving tonight.
And I was shocked when I received the phone call. And I was in denial. I thought it was a scam.
Chong talked to us about her ex-boyfriend and close friend, 57-year-old Thomas Driscoll. Chong says she has known Driscoll for 20 years. The two dated for 10. She says he treated her sons like they were his own.
He was a very important male figure in my kid's life.
Driscoll was a Connecticut State Police trooper for 22 years, working in Hartford, and later with his bomb-sniffing dog Owen at Bradley International Airport. He retired in 2009. Chong says Driscoll drove to Las Vegas to trail hike. In fact, he met with her sons before the trip in January.
And he tried to be very proactive, in our lives. Always try to maintain constant contact, like would text us every Friday just to check in.
Police say 33-year-old Brandon Marcus Leith punched him. Police say Leith followed Driscoll and a woman on a pedestrian bridge on the Las Vegas Strip, met them at the bottom of an escalator, then punched Driscoll. Driscoll collapsed to the ground after being punched.
He was just a wonderful, amazing, kind-hearted man. He's one of the greatest men in my life, and that he was stolen from us.
They wish they could tell him one more time how much he meant to them.
That I love him and just thank him for helping shape me and just being there and just always putting us first too.
And this isn't the first time the suspect allegedly assaulted someone. Our sister station in Las Vegas talked to another victim who says he was also punched by Leith at another time. And they talked to a staff member at an apartment complex that says Leith threatened them with a screwdriver. I'm Courtney Zeller for Western Mass News.
Well, it has been a blustering cold day here across Western Mass, but beautiful blue skies. It was a beautiful sunset for Carol in Deerfield, but she said very cold out there walking the dogs this evening. Keep that in mind throughout the rest of tonight. It is going to stay quite cold. The good news is the wind continues to lighten up. This afternoon, we only hit middle to upper 20s in the valley. Pittsfield didn't even get out of the teens. Currently, sun is down. Still have a little color on the horizon from our Monarch Sky Cam. We're down to 24 degrees here in Springfield with a wind out of the west at 16 miles an hour sustained. It's not as gusty as it has been throughout much of the day today, and that's a trend that will continue into tonight. Teens right now, Blandford, Worthington, and Pittsfield, lots of lower to middle 20s throughout the rest of the Pioneer Valley. Wind is sustained at about 10 to 20 miles an hour now for just about everybody. Gusts are still occasionally getting close to 30 in the higher elevations, but we will see that wind back down to about maybe 5 to 10 miles an hour after midnight. There is a solid wind chill in the Berkshires, though, feeling like single digits, and we do have a wind chill in the valley where we're feeling more like teens. Clear skies for now, but some high clouds off to our north and west will start moving in overnight tonight. Temperatures bottoming out in the teens for everybody with light wind late, and tomorrow it's going to feel a whole lot better. We'll take a look at your full forecast in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Janna, thanks. 3 Western Mass men are in police custody after a home invasion on Hope Street in Springfield. Officials say they conducted a traffic stop around 1 this afternoon on Roosevelt Avenue. They say they found a gun and stolen items inside the car. Luckily, the victim was not hurt. Police arrested a 37-year-old West Springfield man, a 46-year-old Chicopee man, and a 39-year-old Chicopee man. They're facing home invasion and firearms charges.